Okay, good evening, Blue Jay families. Welcome. And you are here for Hop on Board webinar tonight, which is with the FLI Network, the Ask Anything webinar. We're going to give just about 2 minutes for families to continue joining, and we will be back with you in just a moment. So thanks for being here and see you in a couple minutes. Good evening, Blue Jay families, and welcome. This is one of our final Hop on Board webinars. So, for those of you who've been with us throughout the summer, congratulations. You've completed most of your Hop on Board webinars. So, we're hoping you feel more and more prepared for what feels really close, which is your Blue Jays move in. So, again, John Fox, I serve in student transitions and family engagement. And serve as a point of contact and engagement for families. So tonight, we're delighted to have our second webinar of the season with the FLI Network, who did an overview a couple weeks back, and tonight is hosting an Ask Anything. So this is really designed to give you a chance to ask all those final questions, whether you be an incoming student, whether you be the family of an incoming student. We'd like to hear from you, and no question is a bad or silly question. Feel free to ask because that's why we are here. A couple housekeeping things with the Zoom window. So if you can go to open the Q&A feature at the bottom, which is likely under the three dots, that is how you will communicate with us, and you can drop your questions in at any point along the way. There will be some facilitated Q&A with open Q&A at the end of the session. So please, without further ado, I'd like to introduce and welcome the director of the FLI Network, Anthony Webster.
Thank you so much, John. And as John mentioned, this is the second part of a six-part series where we will be engaging with you as families and incoming Blue Jays here at Johns Hopkins, pretty much sharing all the information that we can as you prepare to move in a few weeks. And again, really quick overview of what the FLI Network is. Again, Anthony Webster here, and I serve as the director of the FLI Network here at Johns Hopkins. And our goal is to not only introduce, all the resources that we have here to offer you at the university, but also make sure that you as families are aware of these resources as well. So as your students are engaging with you, asking questions around support in ways that you can support them even on the home base, that you kind of know what exists here at the institution. So what we've done is we've pulled together a lot of colleagues from across the campus who are within their own right experts within their expertise within their specific areas here on campus. And so I will not belabor you anymore with how awesome they are and how great they are and all the things that they do. I want you to hear from them directly. And so we're going to kick it off with a quick round of introductions before we get into our formal Q&A. And as John mentioned, we will stop around the 45-minute mark with the formal Q&A, and then we'll jump into the Q&A and answer any questions that you might have regarding your student or specific needs or any broad general question that you might have that might answer any question that you brought here tonight. And again, this webinar is called Ask Us Anything, right? And so there's no question that is silly or that we'll say, oh, I can't answer that. But we want to make sure that you as families understand that even though your student may be entering this space as a FLI student, first generation limited income, that even as families, we want to make sure that you have the tools, the knowledge, and the resources to be able to help support them still. And so without further ado, I'm going to stop talking and I'm going to kick it over to my colleague, Jamie.
Good evening. My name is Dr. Jamie Imhoff, she, her pronouns. I'm the coordinator for neurodiversity services at AON, which stands for Assessment, Occupational Therapy, and Neurodiversity Services within Mental Health Services. I will popcorn it to Robert.
Hello, everybody. So my name is Robert Hill. I'm one of the coordinators for FLI services at MHS, which is Mental Health Services, which is the main hub for all mental health services at Johns Hopkins University. In addition to that, I have another counterpart who is Octavia Sykes. So us in tandem work together with the FLI students to make sure you guys get all the services that you need.
And Robert, who you got popcorn to?
I'll popcorn it to Hope.
Well, hello, my name is Hope Smedley. I am an assistant director with the Financial Aid Office, the Student Financial Support Office, and that's what we're here to do. We're here to support you. I already see some financial aid questions coming on that Q&A, and I'll be happy to answer those when it's time. But I just want to say welcome. I've gotten the opportunity to speak to a lot of you already, and I'm excited to see you on campus. And I will popcorn it to Lindsay.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Lindsay Jeffers, and I am a case manager with Student Outreach and Support. I have been a FLI-focused case manager for the last 3 years, and I'll pass it to my other case manager, Joe.
Hey y'all, my name is Joe Reyes. I've also been at Hopkins for a little over 3 years as one of our first-gen limited income case managers. We're at Student Outreach and Support. We're here whenever students face significant complex challenges. We offer some services like drop-in services, the laptop loaner program, emergency fund process, to name a few. And in all of our work, we've worked closely with all of these campus partners on the call and who are not on the call as well. And I'll pass it over to Daryl.
Hello and welcome. My name is Dr. William Darrell Allen. I go by Darrell Allen. I'm a SCAR advisor, senior SCAR advisor in the Krieger School, and I've been at Johns Hopkins for a little over 4 years. And I'm going to move it over to Medina.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Medina Sani. I am the Associate Director for Programming with the FLI Network and also the Director of the Hop-In Summer Program. I've been at Hopkins for 7 years now, and I'm excited to answer any questions that I can about being FLI and being involved on campus. I will now popcorn it to Belgica.
Hi, everyone. I'm Dr. Belgica Cucalon. I am an assistant director within the Scholars and Fellows program at the Center for Student Success. I've been at Johns Hopkins for 1 year, and I am very excited about pre-orientation next week because one of my other roles is as the Coming Scholars Program Director. So I will send it over to Deidre.
Hi, everyone. My name is Deidre Campbell. I am the director of the JUMP program. That stands for Johns Hopkins Underserved in the Medical Professions. And we support students who are pursuing careers in the health professions. And I will popcorn it over to Aishani.
Hi, my name is Ashani. I'm a rising sophomore, and I am currently a student in the JUMP program. Is that everyone that's gone?
Carlo.
Okay, Carlo.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Carlo Cagliola. I'm a rising junior here at Hopkins. I'm a FLI student, and I'm here serving on the panel through my role as a member of the FLI Student Advisory Board. So what that means is I just act as a student representative for the FLI Network. I help plan and run fun events at the FLI Network. holds for students in the FLI community. Yeah, happy to answer any questions.
All right, thank you all so much for those quick and efficient introductions. As you can see, we have a wealth of knowledge here on our panel for you all this evening. And so we wanted to make sure that we brought people together from all across the institution to make sure that there was no stone unturned when it comes to answering any question that you might have. And so now we're going to jump right into our formal questions. And I'm going to pick on and tap Medina to answer our first question. And Medina, my question for you would be about belonging here at the institution. We talk a lot about belonging and how do students get involved as FLI students. So, as students begin their first year at Hopkins, what support programs and community building opportunities can they expect from the FLI network?
Thank you for that, Anthony. And so the first thing I'll say is that belonging doesn't only exist within the FLI network, it takes place in different areas on campus. And so when you arrive here, you want to find your people or find the spaces that resonate most with you, but also the spaces that you're curious about that you may not have ever had the opportunity to explore. You might find that in your residence hall, that is where you connect with the most people. And that is where you feel like you belong the most. And so that could be your first community. But specifically for the FLI Network, one of the things that we do is we host different types of programs. And so that programs and events. You will have the opportunity to attend our pep rally, which is a lot of fun, a lot of music, where we're introducing you to the resources on campus. The fun starts there. And then we have smaller events and workshops that could range from anything from line dancing to learning about summer opportunities to understanding your finances, or to our largest event, which is called Fly Day. Our events are both academic and community based, as well as the larger ones, which are all about building community and finding not just those whom you have something in common with, but just people within the Hopkins community that you can learn something from. And so, specific to the Fly Network, attending our events and attending our programs will not just make you connected to the FLI community, but it will also connect you to the other resources on campus, the other communities on campus, and ensure that you're not just a FLI student at Hopkins, but you're ultimately a Blue Jay here at at Hopkins and within the JHU ecosystem.
Thank you so much, Medina. And as we talk about belonging being more than just within the FLI network, and I think it's important to have students like Carlo here to bring a perspective about what it's like to be a FLI student at the institution. And so, Carlo, thinking back to your first semester here at Johns Hopkins, what do you wish you and your family had known before you arrived at Hopkins?
Yeah, that's a great question. So, just thinking back to my first semester, one of the biggest things that I wish I had known and my family had known were how many resources are available to students here at Hopkins, especially FLI students. Coming into college, it can be easy to feel like you have to figure out everything on your own. Hopkins is a new environment, the academics can be challenging. You're trying to build a new community, and you're learning how to navigate college life in general. For FLI students, especially, parts of that experience may be completely new, not only for us, but also for our families. And what surprised me was how many people and programs on campus are here to help. Whether you're struggling academically or figuring out finances, maybe you're looking for a community or just unsure about the next steps you're supposed to take, there is always someone at Hopkins that can help you out. One thing that I would tell incoming students is not to wait until a problem becomes overwhelming to ask for help. Taking advantage of the resources is part of being a student here, I would say. And if you don't know what resource you need, that's completely okay. I would suggest going to talk to your academic advisor success coach. That's a great place to start. You don't have to know exactly who to contact. They can just point you in the right direction. For families, I would say that to stay connected with your student is a great idea. Ask how they're doing, encourage them when things are difficult. And that worked really well for my family and I. Remind them that they don't have to handle everything alone. At the same time, college is a time when students are learning to advocate for themselves and become more independent. So sometimes the most helpful thing a family can do is encourage them to reach out and to use the support around them. If my family and I had understood that from the beginning, I think the transition here would have felt a lot less intimidating. There's a strong support system at Hopkins, and learning how to use it is one of the most valuable things a student can do during their first semester.
Thank you so much, Carlo. And one of the things that you said that stood out to me the most was you don't have to do this alone, right? And I think you did a great segue from my next question to Dr. Darrell, who is a success coach and academic advisor here at Hopkins, short for SCOT. And so, Dr. Darrell, my question for you is, how can success coaching help FLI students navigate the academic and personal transition to Hopkins?
It's amazing how you that follows, and it's like it was scripted, how Carlos just said so much that we do here in SCA. And by us being assigned to students over the summer right away, we get an opportunity to work with students right away academically. We get a chance to talk to them about their potential majors, their goals, and then we sit down with them and we come up with a schedule that best suit them, that hope that they will be able to navigate the resources and things that they need in order to be successful at Johns Hopkins. Now, once we are assigned to a student, we're assigned to them for the 4 years. And even when they get an academic advisor, because see, in Krieger School, you do not get a major right away. In a Whiting School, you do. In a Krieger School, you have to wait about a year before you can get a major because they want you to see the diversity on campus, make up your mind after you see a few things. And then we help you declare that major. And the whole thing about once you get that, become a neuroscience major or whatever major you decide to be, you still get us. You still keep us. We go nowhere. We with you for the 4 years. So we want you to be able to depend on us if you have a question, if you need some resources, if you're not sure about something, if one of your peers are talking to you about something and you're just not there with that. That's where we kick in. We request that you meet with us over a period of time, especially if you're a freshman. You're required to meet with us twice a month, every other week. And then we wean it a little bit as you become upperclassmen. But we are here for you for everything that you will need. And if you don't know what you need, we hope that you have enough confidence in us as advisors, success coaches, that you can turn to us. And if we don't know it, we will point you in the right direction. So we tell our students all the time, we don't know everything because it's amazing how students come up with something every year. We think we have the answer to every question, and it's always that one question. We're like, wow, where did that come from? Let me find out and I'll get back to you. So we're here for you. Use us the way that you need to use us. We are the bridge between K to 12 now and you're in post-secondary education. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Darrell. And I think as we talk about the student experience, especially for our first gen limited income FLI students, like they come into the institution, again, as Carlo mentioned earlier too, you can't come in knowing all the things, right? And so I want to reiterate that there are individuals here to help you navigate the seen and the unseen experiences that you'll have here at Hopkins. And as Dr. Darrell mentioned, we don't know everything, but I always say we're going to find the answer for you, right? And so I think that's the beautiful thing about the work that we do. As you are learning, we're sometimes learning right alongside you to help you navigate this space, right? And so as we talk about navigating this space, there are things that, seen and unseen. We can't plan for everything, but when things do pop up that we just don't have the answers to, or maybe it's a financial situation, maybe it's a situation with our coursework, we have individuals like Lindsay and Joe on campus to help kind of navigate that space. And so I'm going to tap Lindsay and Joe to kind of tag team this question. It says, what a student faces when a student faces personal or family issues or health issues, financial challenges that begins to affect their college experience. And I always tell students, when you come to college, life does not stop lifing. It keeps going, right? Whether that's life on campus or life back home. So Joe and Lindsay, how can student outreach and support help those students as they experience some of those challenges?
Yeah, absolutely. I can start us off, and then Joe, I'll invite you to add some comments. So a lot of what our office does is non-clinical case management. So students are often coming to us when they're facing some challenges or issues where they feel like this is a really stuck problem. I've maybe used all of my own resources and problem solving towards this issue, but I've found myself in a place where I'm a little stuck. So from that, we are striving to help students kind of untangle, like let's identify what the list of concerns may be. let's prioritize those concerns, and then co-create a plan of action. So that's where a lot of our resource referrals might come in. Maybe, one aspect of the question is a financial related question. So maybe I'm saying, hey, I want to make sure you get connected with your student financial support advisor. So that's just kind of an example of how we can assist. And everything is very individualized. It's not a one size fits all solution, but we really want to empower and work with your student to ensure that they can access whatever supports that they need. And I'll pass it to Joe as well.
Yeah, Lindsay, thank you for capturing that very well. Just as Lindsay said, things that can be very entangled. Your academics may be impacting your mental health, but your mental health may also be impacted by financial concerns, whether at home or here, that are also impacting your basic needs. And so we're kind of the place to help, like Lindsay said, untangle things. I think one thing that I wanted to expand a bit upon is that not only do we work alongside you to help untangle all those things to create that action plan, but we also want to help empower you to help you feel that you can advocate for yourself, have that agency to take those next steps for yourself. So in that way, when you leave Hopkins, you are equipped with all those great tools and skills to do that on your own with whatever chapter happens after Hopkins. So yeah.
Thank you both so much. And I love the framing of untangling, right? We come into this world thinking things are going to be like a straight and narrow line. But when you come to college, you get thrown all these lefts and rights that make you think about, am I in the right major? Am I going in the right, pathway, right? And that's the beauty of college, right? It's designed to help you figure out what's next for you in your life. And so, as you all mentioned, things like financial hurdles do arise for students, right? Especially for some of our FLI students. So I want to pivot over to Hope really quickly with a question around if a student or family experiences an unexpected financial change or has questions about aid, billing, affordability, what should they do first in terms of getting prepared for those type of experiences?
Well, the first thing they should do is there's two answers to this question. The first thing they should do is get in contact with their financial aid advisor. We are available 5 days a week. You can Zoom in with us if you can't get a quick enough appointment with your specific financial aid advisor. We have Zoom hours every day of the week. Some are in the morning, some are in the afternoon, but you can talk to all of us are able to help you. If you have a more complicated situation, you want to get in contact with your specific advisor, and that's very easy. You just go to the contact us page on the SFS website, and we go by last name. So for example, if your last name is Martin, I would be your financial aid advisor because M is one of my letters. So that's kind of the first thing we want to do. The second thing is to understand that you are funded already. You all have your financial aid already, and you're funded up to your cost of attendance minus your expected family contribution. So you've done all your financial aid application, you've done all that information, and we've come up with what your family can be expected to reasonably pay to come to Hopkins. For a lot of you, that's nothing. For a lot of you, that's zero, and you're funded all the way up to your cost of attendance. If that's the case for you, that's fabulous. There's not a lot more financial support we can give you because we've provided that through the financial aid. However, I will just take this time to mention if there is a circumstance that comes up, let's say you get appendicitis while you're on campus and you have to go to the hospital and you have an out-of-pocket bill to pay, you can submit that to us through a budget adjustment request, and that's something that will be taken into consideration. And I'm sure that there's a max amount, but that's something that we can certainly help with. Those things that come up that are very unexpected financial concerns, we are always there to take a look and try and help you as best as we possibly can.
Thank you so much, Hope. And as Hope mentioned, I always tell families when it comes to financial aid, I know that talking about money can be a very sensitive subject. It's like, don't ask, don't tell. But when it comes to paying for college, these are conversations that I think should be upfront and readily available for students and their families, right? It's to talk about what we have and what we don't have. And I think, Hope, as you so eloquently mentioned, you're here to help navigate that conversation, taking any documentation. If things come up unexpectedly throughout the semester, there are processes and systems in place to help kind of readjust the aid as needed to make sure that the student is still receiving some level of support from the institution. That's awesome. And so families, write those things down and don't forget them. And so as we think about the transition to here at Hopkins, I want to start pivoting a little bit to some of our other support officers on campus. And one of the things that is important to me is, I don't know about you all, but when my money's funny, my mental health is bad, right? But when you come to college, right, it's important to understand that when you come here, there may be things happening that may impact you or affect you that you've never really thought about, right? And so that's where we tap Robert and Octavia. And so, Robert, I'm going to pivot to you really quickly for the next question. When mental health resources, what mental health resources are available to FLI students? And how can student access a support before things become their concerns or it becomes crises?
No problem. Thank you so much for the introduction, Anthony. And you're absolutely right. Your mental health is just as important as your physical health, especially as you navigate into your college experience. Here at MHS, the resources that we have available for FLI students are individual therapy, group therapy, also being able to get students into the community. So let's say if you're looking for a specialist, like I want to do a sleep study or have eating concerns, we have the ability to also get you linked to a specialist through what we call care coordination. And really, most of the things that you can think of, also medication management. If a student is coming in and they're already taking medication for their mental health, we can help them manage that through not only our psychiatrists, but also our nurse practitioners that are here on campus. And every service that I'm describing right now are completely free to our students. And the first step in order to getting connected to those services, even the ones that I haven't mentioned, is through an initial consultation. And so as soon as you get on campus, you can set up an initial consultation by going through your health portal and just typing IC or looking for that initial consultation, and you can get that same day. All of those same day appointments are between the hours of 8 a.m. to around 5 p.m. The last appointment is 4:30. So between the first appointment the first appointment is 8:30 a.m. and the last appointment usually goes around 4:30 p.m. And so in that would be a 20 to 25-minute session where we start to make an assessment. And in that assessment, we're going to ask you what's going on, why did you want to come in today, and how we can link you to the plethora of different services that we have here at Mental Health Services to be able to address exactly what you're looking for. So whether that be individual therapy with someone like myself, who's a licensed clinician at the university that sees clients, or it be group therapy where you can discuss your problems with a group of other students that are experiencing similar things. Also, workshops. We also have the ability to do psychoeducational experiences, outreaches. All these are different things just around making sure that your mental health is at the forefront and that you have all the resources necessary to be able to get the support that you need.
Thank you so much, Robert. And the key word that I heard, you said free, right?
Absolutely. You already paid for it. So it
Awesome,
is completely
awesome.
free.
I wanted to reiterate that just in case they didn't hear it. So free, right? And so those resources are free. And speaking of additional free resources at the institution, I want to now pivot over to Jamie, who I think about when we talked the other day, like a check-in, we talked about just the whole notion of students coming to Hopkins, and there's this preconceived notion that everybody here is brilliant and smart, and by no means that's true, right? That is true. But some of our students may show up to campus with, let's see, maybe have an IEP in high school or 504, or maybe having navigate their entire K-12 experience, having not even had an assessment of some sorts, right? And so we do want to make sure that families understand that there is support here for those families here at the institution. So, Jamie, my question for you is, how does AON support neurodivergent students or students experiencing challenges with organization, time management, executive functioning, or daily routines?
So basically, my team is really big on skill building. We want students to learn and build a skill set that fits right for them. Not every strategy is a one size fits all. So really coming to us, doing a deeper dive into kind of how, say, some executive functioning skills show up in their life. If you are at a point in the semester where you're struggling with time management, organization, you're missing some assignments, we can help with that. Depending on which team member you come into contact with, our methods may look a little different. We have 2 occupational therapists who host a variety of groups and workshops throughout the semester. They also host 1 hour one-on-one consultations. Folks can jump on Zoom, work out an action plan with them, get some skills. Myself through therapy, kind of doing a deeper dive into, is some of these some of the skills you're struggling with, is it related to a mental health diagnosis or a suspected diagnosis? We also have a assessment psychologist who can do testing for those situations where folks suspect maybe they might have a neurodivergent condition, or maybe there's an undiagnosed learning disability there. But like Robert was saying, the initial consultation is going to be your first step to kind of explore, is testing right for you? Some of the other things like the groups and workshops, consultations, those are all things you can self-schedule on the health portal.
All right, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And again, if you have questions for Jamie, is it possible for you to put your email address into the everyone section, just in case the families and everyone has, do that for us. If you have questions, families can email you directly regarding anything that you might have mentioned, just in case they want additional information regarding something that you may have mentioned here on the call tonight. And now I'm going to take the privilege of just really highlighting some of our additional support services and programs here at Hopkins within the Center for Student Success. My colleague Deidre, who oversees the JUMP program here. And so, Deidre, JUMP is so phenomenal. I remember when I started here, you went through that PowerPoint telling me kind of what JUMP is and who you support and how you support students who have an interest in going to the medical profession. And I was just floored because I wanted to be a doctor at one point in my life, and then that kind of dream faded to black. However, I love what you all do in really rallying around students and helping them navigate that process from start to finish and then beyond. And so my question for you was, what opportunities and support does JUMP provide for students interested in medicine and or other healthcare professions? And when should first year students begin engaging with this program?
All right, great question. Hi, everyone. So JUMP is a learning community, and we engage students from their initial entrance here at JHU all the way until they matriculate, or that means accepted or move on to a health professional program. We provide services that are range from clinical, research, community service experiences, paid experiences. We provide scholarships for students. So if they're in unpaid experiences, they'll get the opportunity to still continue and maybe get some funding back. For students who may have financial challenges, we offer paid clinical opportunities and paid research. For students who may be taking the MCAT and are thinking about medical school, we offer a free MCAT program. This is a program that is where students are paired with an MCAT mentor. We have seen great success with that program. Our students' scores have increased anywhere from 10 to 18 points, with one of the highest scores we have had is 526 this past cycle, which the highest MCAT score is a 528. So these are all resources that are provided to students. Students have access to either MCAT or DAT books for free. So if students have some financial challenges with acquiring that, we also provide that. When students are thinking about going to a medical school for an interview or maybe a second look, we also provide financial resources for students as they explore medical schools and any other health professional programs. Those are just some of the opportunities that we provide. We take students every semester to a medical school or health professional program where students really get to be immersed. We pair students up with medical school students. Also, for students who are applying to medical school or dental school, et cetera, we pair them with a professional student at those various schools who will review their application for them. Students get mentorship from School of Medicine faculty. I mean, we consider students from their initial entrance here and their needs here all the way until they are ready to apply. So happy to chat with you. I'll put my email in the chat.
Thank you so much. And I think most like anything that we do here at Hopkins, we want to make sure that the student voice is present, right? And so Shani, I'm going to pivot over to you with a question. What advice would you give an incoming student who's interested in medicine or another health profession, but may feel uncertain or overwhelmed about getting started?
So my number one recommendation would actually be to look into Jump and about joining Jump. And I say this not just because I'm in the program, but also as a student that's in the program, I really have come to understand that the people who are part of it really understand what incoming students, especially FLI students, need and what needs to be addressed, especially for students who are overwhelmed and aren't completely sure of the path that they want to do. For instance, there's a big emphasis in Jump about reflection for activities. And so a lot of the seminars and workshops and even the professional programs that Miss Campbell talked about, a big emphasis is not so much on like the what of exactly what you want to do with your future, but like why. And in building that why, it helps to build a 4-year journey that allows students to build meaning and momentum gradually, semester by semester and class by class. Another thing as well is the partnerships that Ms. Campbell talked about as well. Because they're through Jump, it allows students, including myself, to do reflections that focus specifically on helping to confirm what health professions are right for us, and also for focusing on quality over quantity of experiences. Another thing as well is that Jump's network is incredible. As a student who's been here for even just a year, I've come to understand in that 1 year time how important it is to talk to upperclassmen, to talk to other students who have been part of this journey. And Jump creates that network and again allows for students to reflect together. And not just on whether or not certain paths are right, but also on like balancing our lifestyle as pre-health students. So for example, like I'm a wellness leader in Jump, and like one of the events that we're planning to host is about sleep quality. So not everything is just about like pre-health aspect of it. It's about health. It's about making sure that students are healthy and happy. And when we're going through this journey, we're together. So Jump is a is a really great program.
You sold it to me. Thank you so much for sharing that information. I really appreciate it. Because again, the student perspective, I think a lot of time as the pro-professional staff here at the institution, we get talked to, we're blue in the face, no pun intended, around how great our programs are, but our students are true testaments of the work that we do and how supportive we are when it comes to making sure your student is supported from the time they get to Hopkins to the time they leave. And speaking of additional support and programs here at the institution, I'm going to pivot over to my colleague Balika, who is overseeing like national fellowship programs here at the institution. And so my question for you is, first of all, what are national fellowships? And how can they support students' academic, professional, and personal goals during and after college?
Sure, thank you. So national fellowships are prestigious and competitive awards that can provide students with funding, professional development, and professional networks as they pursue research, study, and travel abroad, and even postgraduate educational opportunities. So those can include the Marshall, Truman, Rhodes, Fulbright. There's a list of fellowships out there, and so one of the things that we do over at the National Fellowships program is support students in finding fellowships aligned to their goals and also providing guidance and advising along the way because because they're very competitive fellowships, the applications are quite rigorous for them. And so that includes support like writing feedback, interview prep, all of those different pieces. And I will say my biggest advice to incoming students would be that even though our deepest engagement with students is during their upperclassmen year, to think about us along the way, check in with us along your journey, because oftentimes what I tell seniors is if you're just coming to us for the first time your senior year, it is a little bit too late at that point in the process. So definitely be thinking about us along the journey.
What I heard was early and often is the key to getting attached to fellowships and information regarding how you can support students as they navigate their time here. Awesome, awesome. Thank you all so much. And so I'm gonna now pivot back over to another question to Robert. And Robert, my question for you is, what should families know about supporting their students' well-being while also respecting the students' privacy and growing independence?
I think the biggest thing is the role of confidentiality, right, within mental health services. So I think when supporting students, the biggest support is encouraging them to utilize the services when you see the signs that they might be struggling, that they might need to have a deeper conversation with someone from a professional standpoint. And also, in addition to that, the biggest point of confidentiality is if the student is above the age of 18, any and everything that they talk to with us about, we cannot share. And that's really important, especially when talking about mental health services and the utilization of mental health services. And also, when we're discussing what are some of the ways that we can encourage kind of that independence, right? Like this is going to be the first time that your child is going to be living on their own. It's going to be away from home. And so the ability to encourage the utilization of services, especially mental health services, and allowing them to take the first step of utilizing those services and making those appointments and getting into that room is going to encourage their independence and foster that sense of responsibility. Like I am responsible for my own health. I'm responsible for making sure that I take advantage of the services that are around me. And I think that has been families that are able to recognize some of the signs, like your child might be a little off, or they might feel uncomfortable, or they are struggling with, wanting to come back home more frequently and not getting acclimated to the university. They could be really struggling with anxiety and being around in the space, like encouraging them to utilize the services and then giving them the space to take that advice and utilize it to their benefit.
Thank you so much, Robert. And before we jump over to our QA portion of families, you submitted a lot of great questions. I want to hop over to, no pun intended again, hop over to Hope. Hope, could you share a little bit more about affordability as it relates to Hopkins and how families can really engage with you and your team around the financial process? And one thing I do want to make, somebody please mention how important informing students to check their email is, because you communicate with students doing that via the Hopkins email. And if you email some very important financial questions or documents and they miss the deadline or they don't follow up in enough time, what kind of impact does that have on their experience?
So one thing that's really important to remember is you need to do your FAFSA and your CSS profile every year. It's not a one and done. So you've done it for this year, you've received your financial aid, but every year in October, you can remember it by thinking of Halloween. That's how I remembered it when my kids were in school. When Halloween comes, it is time to do your FAFSA and your CSS profile. For the next year, then it's done. You don't have to think about it again. And that's really, really important to know. If you have a change in your financial circumstances and, things happen and you're not making the same amount of money, or you need additional funding, you can always do an appeal for additional aid. There are always resources that we have available to you, and the best opportunity is to talk to us. And I'm going to piggyback on what Robert said. Now that your students are in college, they are autonomous. They're individuals. And you need to fill out, parents, or have your students fill out a FERPA form. FERPA is kind of like HIPAA for medical, but it's for finances. If you call in or you Zoom with us and you don't have a FERPA form on file and your student is not with you, we will not be able to talk to you, even though we know you're paying. Trust me, I have 3 recently graduated college students, so I know how frustrating that is. Just make sure you fill out that release of information form, and then we would be able to discuss anything with you as well as with your student. So that's really important.
Awesome. Thank you so, so much. And I want to thank you all so much. Before we pivot over to our Q&A from the families, I want to just thank you all so much for giving up your time and your talent this evening to answer these questions that our families, for our families. And so the first question I have from the Q&A portion of the evening will go over to probably Joe or Lindsay around the laptop program. And so we have a question that asks,
That's me.
Oh, that's you? Oh, Hope, you again then.
So it is me again. And the
you.
reason we had a couple of these questions, and I'm going to go ahead and put in the chat exactly how you are going to do this. I'm going to click the link right here and put it in the chat. And then I'm going to talk to you about it really quick. So we have this technology grant, and that is a $2,000 grant that's available to every student that is on financial aid at Hopkins, not just FLI students, every student. It is a one-time grant, and it is up to $2,000. You do not have to purchase the computer first. Actually, we encourage you not to purchase the computer first. What you do is you're going to go, hint, hint, to the Apple Store and put in a $2,000 computer into your cart, take a picture of it, upload the cart to the budget adjustment request, and then you will receive a refund for $2,000 to buy a computer equal or the things that go with the computer. You don't have to buy the computer that you put in your cart. If you send in a computer for $1,000, you will get that grant one time for $1,000. You'll lose out on that other $1,000. So make sure you take advantage of the full grant. So that's just important to know. We want you to be able to utilize that money. Yes, you can use it at any time during your 4 years. From what I understand, this grant started during the COVID period, and it is still running, but I would encourage you to use it as during your first year, just in case the grant goes away at some point. We don't always know when these grants will be there. So while it's here, take advantage of it. As for refunds, I'm going to put that in there as well, because this goes, how do I get my refund back for the computer? What's going to happen? And another question said, I got approved, and you will get approved if you're on financial aid for this computer. What you're going to do is you're going to sign up for Flywire, which is our refund program. And I'm going to paste that into the thing as well. That goes into the chat as well. That Flywire is where you'll get any of your refunds. There was another question on here. These are just so much easier to answer live because there were so many about the same thing. There's another question. When do I get any refunds that you get, whether it be because, the amount of aid you got is more than what your tuition and bill is going to be, or if it's for the computer grant? None of that can go until 10 days before the start of the fall semester and or spring semester. So that is a federal law. It's not our law. So that's when the refunds start processing. So I think we start on the 25th. Am I right? I can't remember the first day of the semester.
31st, but it's 31st.
Oh, it's the 31st. Okay. So on the 21st is when those refunds will start processing. If you sign up for direct deposit, they will go right into your bank account. If you don't, they'll come as a paper check. So it's just important to sign up for direct deposit. I also could answer the one about health insurance if you'd like me to.
Go ahead and tackle it, then we'll jump over to Lindsay with more information about the laptops.
Okay. Do you want me to tackle the health insurance now?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So health insurance is also a really big thing on the bill, because every student is required to have health insurance at Hopkins, and you are automatically billed for it. Now, anyone who has a Pell Grant is eligible for us to give you a grant for that. However, you do have to waive that grant. You do have to waive your health insurance. It will not automatically come to you. And if you don't waive it, you're going to have to pay. So in order to waive it, I'm going to put this in the chat as well. In order to waive the health insurance, I just put the instructions on. You just go in SIS under health benefits. Let's just say you're from California, or if you have Medicare or Medicaid in the state, that is not going to be okay for Hopkins. We require better health insurance than that, so basically you're going to put your card in. Hopkins is going to deny it and say, no, you can't waive this. That's okay, because that'll then put you on a list that comes to financial aid. We give you the grant based on the denial. If you have health insurance that is your parents' health insurance and it's through a company and it does, pass the waiver process, then that's fine too. You'll just use that health insurance. Either way, you don't want to be charged for our health insurance, because that's a big expense.
Thank you so much. That's great and helpful information. So families, if you have questions, Hope put a lot of information in the chat there. So please feel free to reference any of those links. Any of the information she put in the chat there. But Lindsay, I know you have some more information about the temp loan process for laptops that families can utilize as well.
Yes. So just a very quick addition. There may come a time when your student spills a drink on their laptop, right? So in those cases, we do have a short-term laptop loaner program, separate and apart from the process through which you can purchase a laptop. So a short-term laptop loaner program where students can still have a device so that they can keep up with their studies while they work on getting their device repaired or replaced. And if there are concerns about being able to afford the cost of repair or replacement, I would refer a student back to their financial aid advisor.
Thank you. Thank you. I have a question in the chat asking, where can they find the FERPA form? Oh, Hope, you're on mute.
The FERPA form is on SIS. Sorry about that. It should be under their it's either under billing or financial aid to add an authorized user. That's how they would do that. I'm getting a lot of questions also about dental health insurance is not covered. It's just medical health
With
insurance.
medical health? All right,
Mhm.
thank you, thank you. Let's see. When will the funds for living necessities as part of the financial aid at Hopkins be given? In what format will they be given? On the J card or provided into receipts to Hopkins through SIS financial aid adjustment form? Do our purchases need to be here to be after classes or to get reimbursed? So I'm
So
guessing.
anything, basically anything, you don't really get any specific, for specific things, you don't get funding. We have everything built into the cost of attendance. If your financial aid exceeds your bill, you're going to get a refund. That refund will come to you via direct deposit if you sign up for that Flywire 10 days before the start of the semester. And when I say 10 days, don't hold me to that. That's when they start processing, but we have a lot of students. So it might be 11 days or 12. So.
Thank you. Thank you so much. So we have a few more questions regarding health insurance. I think we've kind of covered those for the most part about deductibles, about can you buy a different computer from the one you put in your car? I think you said yes, you can do that.
Yes.
Another question, I'm going to jump over back to our main questions really quickly for the sake of time. I want to ask a question of our students. I want to hear from our students a little bit more in this conversation. As we talk to our families and our students who may be on the call, can you give me say 3 words that help you get through your first year at Hopkins in terms of, when things were not going as great as you thought they would have gone, or things that, when you called home and your mom or dad or family member said, you know what, stick with it. And you were like, I don't know if I can. What got you through those moments as you navigated your first year here at the institution? Or who? It could be a person too. 3 words or a person.
I can take this one first. 3 words. It's a good question. I think of a very, I'll tell a little story. After one of my first exams for one of my hardest classes, I was my mom's birthday. I remember I called her to say happy birthday and I was like crying, like, Mom, I did really bad. Like, I don't know if I can do
On the
this. Like,
birthday
I think
though?
I think I'm in over my head. But she was like, Carlos can be fine. She just said, like, keep your head down, work hard, go to office hours, use those resources because I talked to her a lot about that stuff. So I would say 3 words are definitely resourcefulness, determination, and communication. I'm a strong believer that it's very important to communicate whenever possible. That's how you solve your problems. That's how you resolve conflicts. And I did all those things. I put my head down. I worked hard. I used all those resources, and I ended up getting an A in that class. So definitely a good ending to the story.
Oh, good. I was like, oh, I hope you
But
got an A. Yes, good,
yeah.
good, good. Ashani, any words of encouragement?
Yes, I will say that I had a similar experience like that as well after one of my first chemistry exams. It was brutal. But I will say that I had a little bit of a different outcome. I think what the 3 words that I will say, first one is organization. I had started putting things into my calendar, my to-do list, and when something big happens, like sometimes it can feel like the world is being thrown into a whirlwind, and having things organized can allow you to have a little bit of time to adjust. I also say consistency, showing up every day, even if it's for 30 minutes, even if it's for 15 minutes, that time adds up. And you will see that when you get to whatever final project or whatever final exam, you will see that it does make a difference, even if it doesn't make as much of a difference in front of you at the moment. And I think the other thing that I will say is a little bit different. It's breathing. Take a deep breath. It's shocking how much we underestimate the ability of taking a big deep breath and doing it for like 15 minutes, 20 minutes. But it really does help. And it's so important to get yourself back into like a good headspace before you move on with the rest of your day because we're so busy and there's like so many things that are off being thrown at students. Even when you're just first on campus, it can seem like a lot. Taking a deep breath can do so much, several deep breaths, but start with one.
Thank you both so much. And I think as we talk about, as you transition from home or your K-12 experience to Hopkins in just a few short weeks, the goal is not to have you just with all this information in your head, but understand that we want to create a space for you in this moment to help ease your mind with any questions that you might have had. And again, if you're coming to pre-O or you're going to be moving in on the 23rd, I think it's important to bring those questions with you as well. If you didn't get a question answered here tonight, there will be more opportunities in the coming days to answer questions. As you can see, my colleagues are eager to answer all the questions that you brought tonight and thereafter. And don't think that you're getting on on people's nerves. I always tell students, if you don't ask questions, if you don't come, if you don't need help there, I don't have a job, right? And so you needing me keeps me employed. And so I think it's important to understand that there is no such thing as a silly question or a silly ask. And the individuals that you just had an opportunity to engage with here on this call are here to help you in any way, shape, form, or fashion as you navigate your time here. Dara, I see your hand raised. I'm going to pivot over to you really quickly.
Yeah, I wanted to address that real quick about excuse me, when students are overwhelmed, especially when they come from K to 12 and doing the transition. Your academic advisor is going to be the key to your success. Please use us wisely, use us freely, especially when you feel like you're running into situations where you're overwhelmed. Do not keep it to yourself. Let us know immediately so we can help you in that situation.
Thank you so much, Dale. I appreciate it. And so, are there any other questions or anything that our panelists may have a burning desire to share with our families as they prepare to pack up? And when I got ready to leave for college, I had my things by the front door like weeks in advance. I was ready, right? So I'm pretty sure if you're anything like me, the suitcases are packed, you're ready to go. Is there any last minute burning thoughts that our panelists would like to share with anyone that's listening tonight?
Yes, I would also share. So we have stated to the students, don't do this by yourself, ask for help and assistance, but that also goes to the families as well. Like we have a community here for families as well. We also have a series of workshops, virtual workshops called Fly Compass, which you may or may not have heard already, and those were heard about already. Those workshops are specifically for parents and families to let you know what's happening during the academic year so that when your child calls you on your birthday crying about their exam, you know what to share, right? I think it was Carlos said that he had been speaking with his mom already about going to office hours. So she was prepared to give that information right back to him. But Fly Compass is not just a space for you to receive information, but it's also an opportunity for you to connect with other parents and families and be in community with folks. So you're not on an island by yourself trying to support your student through something that you may not be familiar with, but it's also for you to take someone else's hand or someone grab your hand and say, hey, my student is a sophomore now. Here's what we did to help them through those difficult times. So we are here in different ways to support not just your student to the finish line, but also you as well.
And Medina, I think that's a great way to end this Fly Compass webinar on that note of that we are here to help you navigate this space. And as she mentioned, you all will be receiving more information about the Fly Compass webinars. And so if you have questions or so family, just as we tell students to check their emails, I'm going to challenge you and encourage you, check your emails because we will be sending information regarding the Fly Compass webinars. On August the 23rd, we will have a Fly Family reception from 3:30 to 4:30. So you all have received information about that as well. If you haven't RSVP'd, feel free to join us that afternoon. We look forward to seeing you all on that day. But again, the questions don't stop here. If you have more questions, there'll be other opportunities and spaces to ask questions as your student transitions to the institution. And John, with that, I will hand it back over to you.
Sounds great. Thank you so much, Anthony. And families, please join me in appreciating this very broad and deep team. So with the FLI Network and partners who were all on this call, really had a breadth of wisdom and information to share with you. So please join me in thanking them for being here. They are great at support, as you can tell, and really care about the work that they're doing with both your student and with your family. So with that, just want to say thank you so much. This is actually our last Hop on Board webinar for first year families and students before you are here on campus moving in. So just want to remind students and families that new student orientation begins at 6:30 p.m. on August 23rd. I know that some of you may be coming for pre-orientation, so that means you would move in on the 19th, participate in that program up through that Saturday, and then would be starting orientation with all of the other students coming in on the 23rd. So families, if you are able to travel to campus, we welcome seeing you. In the student center, we will have a family hospitality area open all of the hours during move-in. And so hope to see you there. We will have a welcome bag. We'll have some prizes. We will have free meal tickets for you to eat a meal on campus with your student. So please come by anytime that day, and myself and a number of other staff will be there to welcome and greet you. So with that, thank you again. If you have questions and you're not sure who to turn to, feel free to reach out to bluejfamilies@jhu.edu. You will get me, yours truly, and I'm happy to connect you with resources that are on your screen this evening or other folks who you're trying to get in touch with. So with that, thank you everyone and have a great evening. We'll see you soon on campus. All right. All right, panel, thank you so much. It was great to have
Yes,
you all here. That was really good.
we did it. And I think how many questions did we get in the QA session? Like 40 plus?
You had 44,
Okay.
44 questions answered.
Okay, I think that's a good round of questions, and plus what we already answered. So again, thank you all for saying yes, and I think I speak for the FLI Network to say, this partnership, we don't do these things in silos, right? Our students come to Hopkins, they may be FLI entering, but they belong to all of us. And so thank you for always saying yes to the collaboration, the partnerships throughout the summer. And then again, I've seen our fall planning calendar, and let me tell you, if you haven't been tapped already, you're gonna get tapped for something. So keep your emails open. Thank you all so much. I'm gonna now go home because I'm on campus, and I will see you all at another time. But thank you all so much. I appreciate it.
Thank you for the
Sounds good.
invitation.
Thanks,
you.
Anthony.
Bye.
Everybody,
Thank
good
you.
night.
Bye.